Frizzalone.
Here.
Stowender. Fritz. Mayor. Moran. Parker. Rice. Winfrey. Here. Chiminello.
Here.
You have a quorum. We also have Mr. Brooks. And Mr. And Chuck is on the committee. That's quite obvious.
Yep. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yeah.
All right, first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
Motion.
Motion's probably made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by a voice vote of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the executive session minutes from February 7th, 2017.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by a voice vote of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First thing under old business is an update from the Will County Public Complex, Public Safety Complex Delivery Team, a part of DLR and Farnsworth.
Good morning, everyone. Just to remind everyone, I am Nicole McRoy. I'm the Senior Project Manager with Leopardo. All right. We had a lot going on since we last talked. So we submitted our February bill, and we are about 79% complete with earthwork, 96% complete with site utilities, concrete 74% complete, because we also have the site work, so the building and the site were one package, so just so everyone's aware of the building's done, we just have site. Masonry is 46% complete. Structural steel, which is also part of the miscellaneous steel, is 84% complete. So the actual structural steel is 100%. Now we're on the miscellaneous, which is like stairs, things like that. Carpentry is 19% complete. That is millwork, door frames, and hardware, but also the exterior framing and the interior framing, along with drywall. So just going to give everyone an idea. And then the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection, which stands for the MEP-FP trades, are about 24% complete. And then the entire project right now is 30% complete. So we are on track for substantial still on 12/27. And currently the completed portion of the construction status is, as I said, we completed the structural steel, the elevated deck, which is the second floor, the slab on grade concrete, the metal stud framing, drywall, and the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-in for area A, which is the 911. So roughly we're tracking each, we have about 9 sequences on the interior of the building, and each sequence is roughly about a week and a half. So we try to basically do the framing, do the mechanical rough-in, and do the drywall in each sequence. That way we can get into finishes and kind of not wait for the entire framing and drywall to be complete. So that's the sequence that we're working towards. And so for the most part, we're working west to east in the building, which is what we've been doing from the start. Then currently we're working on the exterior framing, which is the cold form framing and the sheathing. We're scheduled to be complete with that on 3/14, which is next week. From there, we will start the windows. So that's roughly the exterior, and then we probably, though, from the full exterior standpoint, have about another 8 weeks from there, just because then from there we have to do fluid applied air barrier. We have to do a sub framing for the panels that will be the final finish. Then we're working on the interior. As I said, area A is complete. We are working on area B right now. Same thing with the metal stud framing, drywall, and the MEP rough-in. We also have a set of stairs in as well, so we can utilize that to get up and down, which I'm sure all the trades are happy about. and pouring the mechanical equipment pad. So roughly right now, it's mainly MEPs, drywall, and framing that we're just working towards. And roughly they have about 8 weeks for that from start to finish. So it's aggressive, but we have a really good plan. Cole Cleaning's helping that they're being able to stay on track. And we do inspections weekly with the county, so that helps as well. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be continuing with the cold form framing, as I said, and the sheathing, and then the air barrier, and beginning the GERT system, as I said, for the panels on the exterior, which is a metal panel and also a fiber cement panel, which they call a Swiss Pearl. And then on the interior, we're just going to be continuing on with stud framing, drywall, and then the roughing. That's kind of the next 8 weeks for the most part, is just framing and drywalling and MEPs. And then, as you can see, some of the pictures that we've given you guys, there's some exterior framing and sheathing on the exterior of the building, and some interior framing. You're seeing the slab on grade poured and the carpenters mobilizing for their interior. And then interior overhead and in-wall MEPs. That's the update.
Great. Let me ask you a question. What about the final on the roof?
The actual final
actual
roof,
final.
that's not going to be until the weather gets better, because you need 40 degrees and rising, but you need it overnight as well because it's a fully adhered roof. But we have a temp roof on, so that will be adequate for getting in the enclosure of the building. So there's not necessarily a set date, it's when the weather actually stays constant for 40 degrees.
Okay. Before I open it up for questions, I do want to thank you and your team, all your teams, for giving us that walkthrough. I know there were County Board Speaker Jim Eustace, myself, members of the executive team, Larry Walsh, etc., came through, and I have to tell you, we were extremely impressed to see how it went together by going to those meetings that are on Wednesday afternoon, how you pieced that thing together was just unbelievable. I mean, the little things like, putting some of the ductwork in before the studs go in, just to make your jobs a little easier. I learned a lot that day, and I was extremely impressed with the progress. So,
Chuck.
Yeah, just a quick, any damage from any of the storms that have been blowing through here?
Oh, I stole his
Because
thunder.
because we had, you should have taken it. We had actually had a tree blown down across the street by
Surprisingly,
us.
we had nothing. We, knock on wood, we knew that something was going to occur, and so we just kind of, as they say, batten down the hatches. The tarp that's on the building is more of a structural reinforced plastic tarping, so it's not, it can stand up to a certain amount of wind, but I'm not gonna lie, I think we just got lucky too. It's
No
just
birds.
kind of, I mean, nothing happened and our tarp stayed intact, nothing was broken. But our whole team was on, we were watching the news going, where's Aqua? So we lucked out.
Even last night there was some burst. I mean, really, we had a huge storm come through us, and a neighbor had a tree that got uprooted and laid across the street.
Yeah, I think it's helping with that tarp, and then we are about 75% complete on at least the framing and the sheathing. So we're getting more enclosed every day, which is helping us.
great.
The walls didn't fall. So
Yeah, nothing happened, knock on wood. Yeah, nothing happened, knock
Are there any
on
other
wood.
questions for Harvey?
I was just going to ask the sheriff if they're getting excited yet over there.
I've been excited for a long time, Mike.
Look at the smile back there.
Yeah.
See the mild one. All right, thank you very much.
And I'll let Farnsworth or DLR give any updates on their designs.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a lot to add that Nicole hasn't already gone over. I mean, obviously a lot of progress happening on the site, and part of what continues to fuel that is that we're going through a great number of submittals as we track along. It's really an everyday occurrence, coordinating with Leopardo's MVP team, making sure that we're answering the questions as they come along, trying to stay ahead of things. This schedule is intense, and it continues to be intense. And so the progress that you see, I think, is a direct result of that. But we're thrilled as things come into shape as well.
I just want to introduce myself. I was at the last meeting, but more as an observer. I'm Jim Rickert with Farnsworth Group. I will be the project manager going forward for the public safety complex. I'll also be more heavily involved in the courthouse as well. So we actually had a lot of activity at this project in the past month. We formally kicked off the commissioning process for the construction phase. So that entailed introducing our commissioning plan process, roles and responsibilities, deliverables to Leopardo and their subs. DRL was also present for that. So that was really the formal engagement of our process. And from here on out, our activities are really going to ramp up as equipment shows up on site, as we get permanent power, we energize, we start up equipment, and then we get into our functional testing. So moving forward, we're going to have a constant presence on the site as far as our site observations go, and they're going to be based and sequenced around critical activities of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire, life safety systems. So we really represent the owner from a quality perspective. So we're that quality layer to ensure that equipment's being installed properly, energized, checked out, started up properly, and then we'll roll into our validation, which is our functional testing at the end of the project. So we're really ramping up as of the best month going forward.
On the functional testing part, have we figured out who the air and hydraulic answer is going to be yet?
I believe they are under contract, a sub of FE Moran. So, yeah.
Do we know who?
I can find out for you.
Too many people.
I can find out. I don't actually know. I know the name, but not off the top of my head. But I can find out and give it to you for the next meeting. Yeah, no problem.
Are there any other questions? Thank you. Next up is our update from the Judicial Center delivery teams, Whitesville, Maine, and Farnsworth.
Good afternoon. I'd like to, or good morning still rather, I'd like to begin by welcoming our new chairman.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Ray, and all the best. And what I'd like to also report on the new judicial complex is this, that as you all know, the 100% design has been issued. The estimate has also been issued. Currently, the team is reviewing both, and we'll report back to this committee upon completion of that review. But I thought for today's report, it would be a good timing to turn the floor over for a brief presentation from our commissioning agent, because right now, as we reach this threshold of beginning the construction documents in short order, it's a good time to discuss and learn about the commissioning process, but more specifically the owner's project requirements. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Michael Wolf, who's going to give us an overview and talk a little bit more in detail about this. Thank you.
Swap here. Perfect. All right. Pull this up here. Oh, there we go. Okay, had me scared for a second. All right, so like Dave said, I just want to provide about a real quick, brief, probably 5-minute overview of commissioning so far, where we're at, refresher of the roles that commissioning takes in this process, and just then also at the end of this, I will leave you all with a copy of the actual OPR document. So I printed this out, the owner's project requirements. Sorry about that. It just slips off the tongue, right? So I will leave that with you then after I talk just about this at a high level, and then you can certainly look through this. Obviously the invitation's out there that if there's any questions, specific questions with the document, to ask me or go to Dave with that, and we can talk more. There we go. All right, so a quick refresher on how commissioning integrates. So we've got a number of roles and different levels of authority on the project. Clearly, White & Company is the designer of record. We've got Gilbane responsible for construction quality, the construction trades, cost estimating. The owner, which is the county, then responsible for providing expectations, direction, and making decisions. Commissioning fits in here because it's really about quality assurance. And it's making sure that quality control on the project is happening and it's successful. And so there's a number of places in the project that it swoops in and it evaluates quality control. And then it also looks at documenting that evaluation. So at this point in the project, where we're talking about the owner's project requirements, this is really that first piece of documentation, of documenting the expectations for the project. In each phase of the project, commissioning is going to take a little bit different focus. Right now we're in design, so the focus is on working with the design team and the CM and making sure that we have clear expectations. We're getting everything right on paper. Then as it moves into construction, it's really making sure that, like what Jim said, that we're checking the site and the equipment, things are installed correctly, and then the focus shifts to the facility management staff in operations and warranty, that first year of operations. So far in the design phase, the commissioning tasks that are very specifically occurring, clearly the owner's project requirements, which the initial draft was created back in July of last year, so that's been an ongoing process of updating that. We have the companion document, which is the basis of design, and this is the responsibility of the designer. So White & Company has been providing a response showing how the owner's project requirements are being met. And that response is the basis of design document. And that is being updated throughout the design phase. Then we will, at each of these major design milestones, provide a very thorough commissioning review of the documents, so the drawings and the specs. You can see we went through the schematic design, we just reviewed the 100% DD set, and then 50% construction documents, and we'll do one last review before the documents go out to bid. And then the last one is development of the commissioning specifications. That includes building envelope testing and defining what that looks like. So a quick overview here. What is the OPR document, the owner's project requirements? It's high level, so we're not getting into the weeds. We don't want to say how something should be done, but really what should be done. What are the expectations of the county? It aligns the goals of this project with the long-range goals of the county. So in a sense, we're really starting to craft the framework for some owners and county expectations and standards really going forward. And this could be used possibly on future projects and really as kind of a foundation for those future efforts. What it's not a substitute for design or contractual language, and it doesn't get included in the contract documents. So really what we look at is that there's kind of an increasing level of detail. So the requirements in the owner's project requirements are very high level. That document's about 20 pages, 20 to 30 pages. Then the basis of design, which is created by White & Company, that is probably 300 pages or 400 pages long. So that shows how the requirements are being met in the design. And then furthermore, the bid documents, the contract documents are created. Those are thousands of pages long. So you can see that as the requirements for the OPR flow down, it's an increasing level of detail. So if we're going to drill into just the owner's project requirements, the responsibilities and roles of each party for this document, clearly the county is defining the expectations. They're driving the process. And that's the county, that's all the user groups, Dave's input, and really pulling that all together and getting it put into one document so it doesn't get lost in meeting minutes somewhere. It stays in the forefront here in one place. Farnsworth Group, we're making sure that these things are documented. We're providing additional information, recommendations on how to make these requirements measurable so that we can actually, we're not just saying it's an energy efficient building, but we're saying, you know, what can we go back and prove that it was energy efficient, right? We want those to be measurable. Then White and Gilbane are really providing support. They're highlighting areas where the owner's project requirements cannot be met, maybe because of budgets, schedule, programming. All right, so just the high level of the OPR, the key areas, we're looking at the owner's program. That's budget and timeline. Specific manufacturers that the county may source already that we would want to have as a priority for this project. We look at indoor environmental quality. This is temperature of rooms, acoustics, indoor environmental quality, laying out some standards for this. Operations and maintenance, looking at what kind of documents are produced at the end of the project. And then how does that integrate with the county's level of maintenance for the facility and software. Outlining future expansion of the facility, and then looking at some very rare situations that could happen to the facility, and what redundancies or resiliency is the building going to have? What are the expectations of the county in those cases? So this is just a snapshot of the table of contents of the OPR. You can see that high level is really represented there. And then I've provided two examples of some of the actual language inside this document. So here's a section that's called documentation. This is in the operations and maintenance section of the OPR. So this really, as you can see, it outlines the final electronic deliverable to the county, which includes an updated billing information model, which would be updated to the construction bulletins, PDFs of the as-built, and then a way to have the equipment, the specific equipment on the project brought into an electronic format that can be then implemented into your maintenance program for your facilities personnel in the future. So that's one example. The second example is in the resiliency section. The county went through an activity of going through like essentially a vulnerability assessment and highlighted which areas, which threats they were most concerned about. So those are documented in the OPR. Again, the OPR thinking about what is important, not how it's important, really leaving that up to the designer as to saying, this is how we're addressing a power outage or a fire. And there's at a certain point the building is going to be lost under those conditions. And so making sure that that point is clearly defined and it's acceptable to the county. I know that was kind of a whirlwind tour of a very complicated document here, but I guess I'll just leave this, then when I maybe pass that around, leave you with a copy of that you can then further review.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions? Jim?
You mentioned, and it's something I suppose taking a little more interest in, and Don will like to hear this, it's about as you mentioned, the internal, or the indoor, let me see exactly how you said it, the indoor internal environment. Which, I have a real interest in more than I've had in the past, because that really kind of dictates the working environment, how healthy, whether it's a healthy building or whether it's not a healthy building, and of course and there's a lot of things that go into that. Of course, mixture of air and so forth, but also materials that are used can also affect that environment in a positive, negative way, I suppose, and could affect things in the whether it's healthy or unhealthy workplace, So I suppose, Mike, I'm looking at how you look at that. I mean, you look at all the aspects of the internal environment of the building, going all the way up to the furnishings. So I guess I guess we should throw out there that maybe it's it is something. Jason, Tom, I'd like you to maybe spend a little bit more time on it. Tell us how we address when the time comes, not now, but when the time comes, how you have addressed that internal environment to make sure that we have the healthiest environment within the building.
That's a good comment, Jim, there, and question. I would say that maybe the short answer is really, there's a couple of things that, first of all, LEED, and by the building being LEED certified, does drive some of those requirements. So there's already some prescriptive measures in place just by meeting the LEED rating system requirements that deal with daylighting, deal with comfort. It deals with, like you said, the mixture of outdoor air, the amount of pollutants that can be kind of diluted in the building, right? So that stuff is dictated by LEED. Some of the places where there may be gaps, we've filled in some of those. For example, acoustics. You know, there's what we've done is we've referenced a common courts standard that defines acoustical levels and how to measure those in this OPR. So in the absence of that being defined anywhere else, you know, the county doesn't have an acoustical standard for courts. So we then were able to kind of fill in that gap with something to make this a measurable, worthwhile, you know, document that we can review against.
You know, certainly, I mean, for those of us who've been around for a while, you know, not to bring up, pick a scab at DuPage County, but, you know, we certainly know that they basically built a very unhealthy building to the point where they had to leave the building. And now that most of the time we get to an error.
I worked on it, but
It's been a good.
I don't know if you want to say that out loud.
You worked on the. You worked on the.
Do over. All right.
There's conflicting opinions about what created caused that.
Well, one of the things that I agree with is, you know, in the interviews on Friday, we sat here and a couple of individuals brought that up and how expensive that could be. And it really does make a difference for the employees, and we want to make sure that we provide that high quality
absolutely
work environment as well.
And I suppose, well, the engineering works for White, correct? And maybe that's another area that maybe at some point, Jason, at least on the air mix and all that, maybe, you know, we can get maybe a little technical, I suppose, and maybe somebody from the engineering firm can go by and tell us why we'll have the best, the newest and the best and the greatest, how they address those type of things.
Yeah, we definitely can do a little more update on that. I mean, Mike brings up a really good point that, I mean, a lot of this stuff is kind of just good design practice to begin with, but the fact that you chose to pursue the LEED certification, there's a little more heightened sensitivity, if you will, to focus in on those. I mean, there's all the basics of, you know, things you've all heard of low VOC or no VOC materials and all that stuff, but it kind of goes through every aspect of indoor environmental quality in terms of materials that are selected, you know, just what the environment is, how easily it is to control your HVAC system for individual comfort control, the lighting systems, down to, you know, how we plan the design and layout of the building to get natural light in, things we've done on the agency block of the building with sunshades to control, you know, sun at different times of the day. So, you know, there's a ton of components that go into it, but we'd be happy to dig into, you know, more detail or as much detail as you'd like to kind of talk through some of the specifics. We've been, as we've gone through LEED, we've been talking about some other things like building flush outs and other things that can be done, and, you know, trying to also be sensitive to, you know, cost implications of some of those and energy consumption. So as you can imagine, there's a bit of a balancing act that comes into play there, but team has been all kind of working pretty hard to analyze those things as we progress the design.
Great. Any other questions from Mr. Wolf?
I have a question. I'm not sure if it would be for you, Dave, but I'm curious about the status on the computerized maintenance management system. I notice on page 13 where there's the bullet point, the key data and CMS fields need to be incorporated into the final model, and it's crossed out. So my question is, I guess, why is that crossed out, and what's the status? Because I know a building like this requires the ability to manage the maintenance.
Go ahead. No, that's a very, very astute observation and a very good question, Beth. And really what we've been doing is not ignoring that issue. However, one of the our approach is really to bring on a new facilities manager that would have a lot of input into how we would automate that building management system and so forth. That doesn't mean we've been ignoring the issue at all. As a matter of fact, on the sheriff's department or on the public safety complex, we've begun a process, largely thanks to Michael and to Jim, that you've heard of or heard from just moments ago, is a systematic way to label the equipment, all the new equipment that's going in the building. And to do so not only here, but to do so at the courthouse. And why is that important? It's important because right now one of the main things that surprised me as a construction professional for the most part of my career is that we don't have solid record and reliable record documents to any of our assets. And one of the goals that I had for both of these projects is that we will have excellent record documents that can be updated over time and that they can be meaningful to whoever down the road is maintaining these buildings. And so that is taking shape right now in the absence of having hired a facilities manager. So just to recap that and to give you a status on that, the close date for facilities manager was February 15th of last month. We are in the process of vetting those responses. We got a pretty decent response, 44 to be exact. And we'll be going through a process by deciding which of those 44 then, how we narrow it down and bring it ultimately to interview. So that's where we're at right now. But we want to do that sooner rather than later.
Any other questions? Now we'll go to Gilbane and White.
I think Dave really gave most of our update. I mean, we're really at the point now where we're trying to reconcile design and budgeting and all that. So I don't know that I have too much more to say right now.
We're going to meet this afternoon at 12:30 over at White's office. We've got the whole team there, Gilbane, our estimators, the designers, Dave, Mike, and start going through the design development estimate. We've got some meetings set up, obviously, this afternoon, next week, going forward to get into the details as we go through the process of just finalizing and determining where our DES goes. So that's our critical path.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda was to be a discussion on the judicial center, on the future of the current Will County Courthouse. After speaking with Jason from White, he's been pretty tied up, as you can imagine, with 100% PD and the time commitment that he put forward with that. And he'd asked if we could review this maybe in another 30 days or in 2 months, maybe just bring it back and we'll discuss it at that time. We'll have more information. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the discussion regarding the RFQ for the Design and Health Department. As some of you are aware, last Friday, we had about a 7-member team. I know Ms. Winfrey was there, Jim Musis, Mr. Frizzalone, among others, Mr. Tack. And we met for about 6 hours interviewing, 8 hours, whatever, interviewing 5 different companies. We did forward on a recommendation to the executive's office. I think we'll have some more discussion internally. They will go out, and I know we'll come back, and we're going to probably bring this back to the executive committee, I believe. I don't know, will it be this Thursday, or?
I think we're going to try to move it along. I haven't asked Rita, have you notified?
No, I have not yet. I was waiting until this meeting today.
Okay. So then what we'll do is we'll move it over to the executives committee. We'll make a decision, and we'll take it from there. But if anyone has any questions. Okay, hearing none. There is no other old business. First on the agenda for new business, we have authorizing approval and agreement for purchase of the wetland banking site credits of wetland mitigation from Illinois LLC for the revised site requirements at the new Will County Public Safety Complex. Dave?
I'd like to ask Scott Creech from HR Green, just to join me in the event that there's any questions along these
Well, there is
lines.
a motion and a second on the
Oh,
floor. Does
sorry.
anybody have any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have authorizing, we got a whole series of bills coming up, so hopefully we can get through this fairly quickly. Authorizing payment to Geocon Professional Services, Will County Public Safety Complex. Motion.
Second.
Motion is first and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by voice vote of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to ComEd for Will County Public Safety Complex. Motion.
Second.
There's a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion approves. Next is authorizing payment to B&F Construction Code Services Incorporated for Will County Public Safety Complex.
Motion.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the authorizing payment to HR Green for Will County Public Safety Complex. Motion. Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is authorizing payment to Leopardo Companies for the Will County.
Second.
Second. Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor signify by aye. Motion carries. Next is authorizing payment to DLR Group for Will County Public Safety Complex.
Motion.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to Bradford Systems for Will County Public Safety Complex.
Motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to Farnsworth, Will County Public Safety Complex.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to Gilbane Building for the Will County Judicial Complex.
Motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to White and Company for Will County Judicial Center.
Motion.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to Gould Brothers LLC for Will County Judicial Center.
Motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is authorizing payment to Robin Schwartz for Will County Judicial Complex.
Motion. Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorizing payment to Farnsworth Group.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other new business? Any other public comment? No public comment? Seeing none. As far as chairman's report, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to our board speaker for giving me this opportunity to chair the committee. I'm really looking forward to it. I know there was quite a bit of vision that was set forth by a lot of county boards over the last few terms, led up by Mr. Mayor, Ms. Winfrey, and lastly with Ms. Freitag. And I know you guys have had a good vision along with the board, and I'm looking forward to being help carry out those visions and set our own course as we chart forward. Looking forward to get these projects built. So I want to thank you all for all your hard work, and thanks for the confidence in me. No need for an executive session? No? All right, next would be an adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Next meeting is March 20th.